Hi everyone, this is Julianne Victoria. Welcome to my channel and welcome to the 2022 Year Ahead Vedic Astrology readings. So these readings will be looking at the planetary placements in the year ahead. So the planetary placements on January 1st, 2022 and how they relate to your chart. Of course, as usual, to get a more in-depth personal reading, a personal reading will be required. And I am opening up readings for year ahead readings, Vedic astrology, Western astrology, as well as some tarot reading options. And the link is below in the description box for that. Also, if you're interested in taking one of my online courses that I offer over on Teachable, those will only be available through the end of 2021. And those include the Journey Through the Nakshatras course and Shedding Light on Your Karma and Dharma. Those courses include PDFs and downloads. So if you're interested in those, you want to get them before they're not available anymore, check below, find the links. I'll pin them at the top of the comments as well so you can find them and see if it's something you're interested in. All right, let's get on to our year ahead readings. Hi Taurus, welcome to your 2022 year ahead Vedic astrology reading. So here we have a chart with you, Taurus, set up as the first house. So you can see how this lays on your natal chart. This is a chart again for January 1st, 2022. Let's start with the first house, because in the first house you have Rahu. So Rahu represents karmic action you're putting into play, and in this sense, where karmic focus is for the year of 2022. He also represents motivation and ambition and focus. He's the head of the snake or the dragon. So there's a focus on you being you, you can say. So first house is the house of the self, your physical body form. You could say your personality, your identity. You're determined to be you. For some of you Tauruses, it may be you're determined to do the things you want to do, right? Karma, put things into play. But it really feels strongly about being able to, it's not just express yourself, but to just be yourself in spite of what others or an other might had wanted of you in the past. Now I say it that way because on this karmic axis or nodal axis, of course, we have Ketu. They're all, Rahu and Ketu are always opposite each other. We have Ketu here in your 7th house of relationships. So this can be spouse, partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, best friends, even business partners. So with this focus and determination of you to be you, to put things into action that you really want to, that is more truly and authentic, aligned with who you are now, not necessarily 10 years ago, right? But who you are now. You may, K2 representing the past, also separation, past karma, you may want to break away from a relationship, which could be breaking up with someone, breaking away from a business partnership, or it could be more general, breaking away from the types of relationships and connections that hinder you, that limit you, that keep you from being and expressing who you are now in 2022. Even going into 2022. So there can be a separation out there. Another way to look at Ketu here in your 7th house as the year begins is a desire to find people with whom you have a deeper spiritual connection with. And in that sense, it could be moving away from more superficial relationships, because your 7th house is the intense sign of Scorpio. It's also the sign of the spiritual warrior. And this K2 energy here, it's like you don't want to bother with people who hinder you, limit you, or just superficial. You want people who are there who see you for who you are, so that you can put into action what you want this year ahead. Because whatever, whatever action you put into play, whatever karma you put into play as yourself, that will then trickle into every area of your life. Okay, so with Ketu here in your 7th house of relationships, we have Mars here, which brings both drive and passion, you could say excitement into your relationships. It can heat up your romantic partnership, spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, etc. But Mars, of course, is also conflict. And I feel like You want to break away from the relationships that bring conflict, especially to who you are, and conflict that limits you from being and expressing yourself as you are. I hope that makes sense. Now let me talk about the moon. So this chart is pulled up at 2 p.m. and I adjust the time so I can get whatever sign I'm reading for in the first house, so you can see how this lays on your chart. But at midnight of January 1st, 2022, the moon is actually here in Scorpio in the nakshatra of Jeshta at the Gandanta point, so a very intense point, starting off the year. During the course of the day in the morning, at least my time zone, the moon then moves into Sagittarius. So I'm reading the moon in both positions for those whom the moon moves in your chart. I feel it's significant somehow. So with our moon here in Jeshta conjoined Mars, that brings in a lot more emotional energy to your relationships. It adds to all that. Like, how do you feel about your partner? How do you feel about your best friend? How do you feel about these people you're maybe considering going into a business partnership? Or how do you feel about your past pattern of relationships? What do you want to move away from? What do you need to break away from so you can be more yourself, so you're not hindered from being you? And who do you connect deeper emotionally that you feel passionate about, or that you get excited to hang out with, if it's like a best friend? Oh, I also want to add, because Mars rules over athletics, or you could say sports, like being more active with people you're close to can be helpful as well. But the moon here adds just that much more energy to all of this. Now, if we look at the moon having moved into your 8th house on the day in the morning for my time zone on January 1st, the moon is here in this 8th house. So 8th house energy, similar to 8th house, the sign of Scorpio. The moon moves here with the sun and Venus in Sagittarius, the sign of your 8th house. The new moon, so new moons are when the moons conjoin the sun, is actually on January 2nd, but on the 1st, all of us around the world are also moving into new moon energy. So new year is coming with an almost new moon. So lots of new beginning, like extra new beginning energy. And this is in the 8th house of death, change, and transformation, major changes. So you have to ask yourself, what do you really want to start new? There is this focus on relationships and you being able to be you in healthy relationships and removing, ones that cause a lot of emotional upset and conflict, but also kind of within yourself, beyond relationships. What do you want to bring about? What changes do you want to bring in the new Venus here that you so desire, that you would love in your life? Venus is your ruler, right? Your ruler is here in the 8th house. You want changes. You have the karmic focus. You have sort of the help of Rahu, the motivation, the drive to bring about these changes that will then bring in the new stuff you want. Just thinking if there's anything else I want to say there. Yeah. Okay, so let's look at these separately. The sun here, the sun is the soul significator, the general soul significator here in the 8th house. In general, like, you will shine. So I want to say, so 8th house is also the house of the esoteric and the occult, tarot, astrology, crystals, etc. For those Tauruses who very much are into the occult, the esoteric, mystical things, or other things that have to do with things that are buried underground, 8th house also represents things like microbiology and cosmology. You will shine, especially because the sun is conjoined your ruler Venus here. You will shine and be able to express more of you by allowing yourself to show those sides of you. So if you're a Taurus and you're totally, let's say, into tarot and you do readings all the time, you're already doing that, you're going to shine brighter. If you're a Taurus who has, because of close relations, have had to hide part of you and you haven't totally been able to be like, hey, I'm really into astrology, your focus is to take action on that as one of the things, right? But to shine by being able to incorporate and express that part of you, whatever it is. Okay. Venus here, again, your ruler, she's retrograde, so it internalizes the energy, which is very fitting for very intangible 8th house. I want to say you gain great strength by both researching and diving into esoteric and occult matters, and by the sun, sharing them, expressing them with those who will not, object or cause conflict about it, who will understand that that's an interest of yours and allows you to be more of you. It's you. It's a year of you, Taurus, in a very good way. Not everyone's going to agree, and you'll have those conflicts, and you'll have to decide, do I separate out? Do I just, keep that aside? Every Taurus's life is different. You'll have to determine that for yourself. And also, depending on how these planets lay on your natal chart and the drishtis going on between them. In your 9th house, in the 9th house of religion and spirituality, philosophy, higher education, foreign travel, politics, law, and so on. Your 9th house is the sign of Capricorn. Saturn rules Capricorn, so Saturn is very strong here going into 2022. I almost said 2021. For those Tauruses who are in school, higher education, or you're thinking about it, this strong Saturn energy gives you the discipline to work hard and study whatever it is you want to study, whether it is in like a college, university, or you're studying it personally, and especially if it has a connection to your religious or spiritual path, or if it's law, right? Law and government, politics, publication. Saturn also rules Aquarius in Vedic astrology, so Saturn also rules your 10th house. So for those not in school, that does bring a lot of hardworking and disciplined energy for your career as well, which, I'm jumping ahead here, is likely to be growing and expanding because Jupiter, the great benefic, auspiciousness, expansion, is here as the year begins in your 10th house of career. So it's a year of career growth as well. Career growth, discipline to work hard, or if you're in school, if you're in school, then I consider schooling your career. That's growing, you're going to work hard. And then back to Mercury here in the 9th house as well, the intellectual mind. So especially Taurus is in school or wanting to study and learn something. You'll just, it's almost like you'll eat the books up, right? You just want to keep reading and reading and reading. Plus there's all this energy in 8th house, which is also a house of research. So you'll just, you're going to be a really good student this year, Taurus, whatever it is you're studying, and your career is also going to be expanding and growing in some fashion. But overall, if I have to pick a theme for this year for you, Taurus, it's you being and doing the things you want to do. Yeah. And that is going, again, trickle into every other area of your life. Okay, that is your 2022 year ahead overview, Taurus. All the relative links are down below in the description box and pinned at the top of the comments. And I'm wishing you a wonderful year ahead.